All right, everyone. I'd like to, take a minute and think about the polarization of politics and think back to a time when it was less polarized. As anybody who watches my channel know, I sell books and Magic the Gathering cards on eBay. So this is just, a book out of one of the lots and a picture that I think, it brings a tear to some eyes. And although it's from some gay ass leftist author, the picture and the piece in history is more important than the cover of the book it's on. And I'd like to speak about how the modern right wing is kind of more like the JFK Democrats than anything the conservatives have offered in the last 50, 60 years, maybe aside from like Barry Goldwater or some of the libertarian types, the Pat Buchanan or Ron Paul. So I think, personally, if JFK was alive today, he would be on, the right, maybe not the Republicans per se, but he'd be on the right and not the left. Here's someone who called out government corruption, kind of believed in what Ike was saying, who was a Republican, about the military industrial complex and some of the people that be. Somebody that openly spoke about removing some of the, corrupt organizations within the federal government that are beyond the scope of the law and beyond being held to the law. I mean, we can take things in recent memory like the Russia Trump hoax and the FBI's involvement in that, and other, foreign spooks also involved in that, and the kidnapping of Gretchen Whitmer, and even the January 6th protest that got a little bit out of control, where they're trying to indict everyone except for the people actually breaking in the windows, etc., etc. So we have FBI informants in each ones. We have even on it was a Trump administration and Trump did nothing about it. I'd go on about the weakness of Trump, but it's not what this video is about. This is about not being partisan to a party. And I think JFK is a good example of what actually happened. And I think if Trump kept to what a lot of us wanted him to do, and he seemed to kind of, really stick to his base on a lot of things, but would totally act oblivious and punt on certain issues, I think this is why. And I don't think he wanted to die. I think that's really the long and the short of it. Um, people will call you a conspiracy theorist or this and that. Well, in the case of JFK, the writers of the Warren Commission literally say in their own words that this isn't exactly the true story 100%. This is a story for America to help America. It was never meant to tell the truth, it was meant to tell a story. And I think with the JFK killing, I mean, let's stick away from conspiracy here because you could go pretty deep on this one. And let's just say that Oswald killed Kennedy. Let's just say that for sake of exploration here. Do I think Oswald worked alone? Absolutely not. The guy was tied in with all sorts of communists and left wingers. And I think when we take a look at Johnson, despite the fact that he passed the Civil Rights Act that Kennedy, was kind of Kennedy's brainchild, um, I think he was the establishment and he was the communists. And it really marks a point in history where the left seems to have taken this social justice nonsense a step too far. And I don't mean the Civil Rights Act itself. I mean everything thereafter. Trying to keep it alive because it was a popular thing. I mean, even a lot of the racists, quote unquote, didn't believe in, blacks being treated legally different. I mean, they didn't want blacks to fail because if blacks failed, it just promotes more failure onto whites. If you look at somebody else who was assassinated, likely with help from the government, which would be George Lincoln Rockwell, the leader of the American National Socialist Party, who believed that people like Malcolm X were positive figures for the black community and spoke a lot of sense and wisdom and truth. He even thought, despite not agreeing with it, that Islam was good for black Americans as it taught them values and morals and kept them away from the degeneracy that the, American political left would like to kind of force them into the box and bubble of. So, all right, everyone, that's about it. I'm not going to get too down this rabbit hole here, but there's always a lot of talk and there's a lot of support on every side of the right for JFK. And there's almost zero support on the left or right for LBJ. who, let's be honest, is probably somehow complicit in the murder of this president. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.